There is a myth about Native American history. The myth says that Native populations declined simply because of fate. It suggests their ways of life were old and could not last. This idea is not true. It hides a more complex and painful story. The decline was caused by many outside forces. These forces were powerful and happened over a long time. They were not natural or inevitable. They were specific actions and policies that had devastating effects across two continents. Before 1492, the Americas were not an empty wilderness, home to countless nations with complex government, trade, and agriculture. One of the most powerful causes of population decline was disease. The people of Europe, Asia, and Africa had lived with certain germs for thousands of years. They had built some immunity to smallpox, measles, and influenza. The people of the Americas had not. Their ancestors arrived long before these diseases emerged in the Old World. Their bodies had no defense against these new and invisible invaders. The result was catastrophic. The germs spread faster than any army. Smallpox caused high fevers and painful sores, and in some areas, killed as many as 90 out of 100 infected. Entire villages were silenced. Families were torn apart. Consider one coastal village. Busy families, children at play, elders telling stories, fishers landing daily catch. A brief visit. Weeks later, illness. One person, then a family, then the whole village. With no medicines and no understanding, only a handful survived. This story repeated again and again across the Americas. Disease was not the only cause of death. As settlers moved west, they wanted more and more land. Native nations fought to protect homes, hunting grounds, and sacred sites. Wars brought guns and cannons, deadly advantages for newcomers. Violence often targeted entire communities. Women, children, and the elderly. Settler militias and soldiers destroyed villages, burned crops, and killed indiscriminately to remove native people from the land. At Sand Creek, a peaceful camp flew an American flag and a white flag of peace after promises of safety. Despite this, the militia attacked. More than 230 were killed. Most were women, many were children. It was not isolated. Similar violence occurred in many places. Disease weakened communities against war. War left them more vulnerable to the next wave of sickness. Together, these forces created a cycle of decline that was devastating for many native nations. The struggle for survival was made harder by the loss of land, the source of food, medicine, materials, and spiritual life. Native nations were forced onto smaller reservations, where traditional lifeways became impossible. Buffalo herds were decimated, forests cut, and rivers dammed or polluted, starving communities of resources. Rich traditional diets were replaced by rations, contributing to malnutrition and diseases like diabetes. With land gone, agricultural, hunting, and trade economies collapsed. Governments created policies to clear land, most notoriously the Indian Removal Act of 1830. In 1838-39, the Cherokee were forced to march to present-day Oklahoma. Over 4,000 of 16,000 died. It was a death march. Removals affected many nations across regions, tearing apart communities and families. Treaties promising protection, food, and resources were routinely broken. Reservations were often poor lands, unfit for farming or hunting, creating chaos, dependency, and deep trauma. Despite disease, violence, and displacement, the story of Native peoples is not over. Native nations and cultures were never fully erased. They survived. Survival testifies to strength, adaptability, and an unbreakable spirit. After a low point around 1900, Native populations in the US and Canada have been growing. Millions identify as American Indian or Alaska Native. Languages once at risk are being taught. Traditional arts flourish. Leaders advocate nationally and internationally. Challenges remain: higher rates of poverty, unemployment, health issues, and inadequate housing, water, and schools. These are not community failures, but the long-term consequences of destructive policies and land loss. The path forward begins with education, learning true history and listening to Native voices. Support tribal sovereignty and Native-led programs in health, education, and economic opportunity. Be allies in protecting sacred lands and resources. The story of Native America is living. Acknowledging the past helps build a more just and hopeful future.